Imagine, imagine doing everything perfectly right. Like, you diligently saved in a Roth 401k for 7 years. You took the tax hits up front, and you finally hit retirement age.
Right, the dream scenario.
Exactly. And so you roll that money into a brand new individual account so you can finally start enjoying it. And then the IRS suddenly taps you on the shoulder and says, sorry, your tax-free status just reset to 0. See you in 5 years.
It sounds like an absolute nightmare. Or maybe just, a massive bureaucratic error.
It really does.
But unfortunately, it's neither. It is written directly into the tax code, and it actually happens to retirees, like, every single day.
It's just terrifying. So today we are unpacking a massive blind spot that catches even the most diligent savers entirely off guard. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission today is to completely demystify something known as the Roth 5-year rule. We're looking at some fantastic educational source material on this.
Which is so needed, honestly.
Yeah, we're basically going to extract the ultimate cheat code from this completely chaotic regulatory landscape. So, you can avoid these massive, completely unnecessary tax surprises when you finally go to access your own money.
And that is such a critical mission because if you look around online, most articles, most blog posts, and certainly most internet comment threads get this fundamental rule entirely wrong.
Oh, completely wrong.
Yeah. People think they understand how their Roth accounts work, and that misunderstanding leads to a very harsh shock right when they hit their late 50s and 60s.
Which is the absolute worst time to get a shock like that.
Exactly. But before we get into the mechanics of why that happens, I do need to state clearly that this deep dive is strictly educational. It is not personal financial advice.
Right, forward.
Because as we're going to see, these rules are highly technical. Your specific situation depends on, your unique conversion history, your exact age, your state taxes, all of it.
It's a lot of moving parts.
It is. The edge cases we are discussing are where the real danger and the real opportunity lies. So always verify your specific situation with a fee-only tax professional before making any distribution decisions. Tax law is a living thing, It can and does change.
Absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand those edge cases, we first have to, shatter the biggest myth right out of the gate.
Let's do it.
The whole idea of the Roth 5-year rule is, well, it's a complete lie. There is no single rule.
None at all.
There are actually 2 completely different clocks running at the exact same time, and they're doing 2 entirely different jobs.
And that right there is the core of the confusion. They look identical on paper because they both involve a 5-year waiting period, right?
Wow.
But they govern entirely different types of money. If we don't separate them in our minds, the math just completely falls apart. So let's break down the main differences for a beginner.
Yeah, let's keep it simple.
For simplicity, we will call them clock number 1 and clock number 2. Let's start with clock number 1, which is your contribution clock.
Right, this is like the granddaddy of them all.
Exactly. This clock starts on January 1st of the very first tax year you put, any money into a Roth IRA.
Oh, any money at all.
Any money. It doesn't matter if it's a regular direct contribution from your bank account or a conversion from a traditional IRA. The moment money hits the account, the timer starts.
Okay.
And here is the absolute key characteristic of clock number 1. It runs exactly once per lifetime.
Wait, just once?
Just once.
Yep.
Once 5 tax years have passed, that clock is satisfied and it is done forever across every single Roth IRA you will ever own in your entire life.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I don't have to restart it every time I open a new account at a different bank.
Nope. Once it's done, it's done. And its only job, its sole purpose in the tax code is to determine if the earnings, the growth in your Roth IRA can come out entirely income tax-free.
Got it.
So to get those earnings tax-free, you must be past age 59 and a half. Indeed, this lifetime 5-year clock must be fully satisfied.
Okay, so both of those conditions have to be met to get the growth tax-free. You need the age and you need the 5 years. That makes sense.
Exactly. That's clock 1.
So that is clock 1. But then we have clock number 2. And this is the conversion clock.
Mm-hmm.
And this one operates on a completely different set of physics.
It really does.
Every single time you do a Roth conversion, it gets its own totally separate 5-year clock. If you convert a chunk of money in 2023, that specific chunk has a clock that matures in 2028.
Right.
And if you convert more money the very next year in 2024, that new chunk gets a brand new clock that matures in 2029.
Yes, a totally separate timeline.
And the only job of clock number 2 is to govern the 10% early withdrawal penalty on that converted principal.
But And this is a huge but only for people who are under 59 and a half.
Precisely. That is the kicker. And because people conflate these two clocks, one for lifetime earnings, one for individual conversions, we see two massive misconceptions out there. Oh, yeah, they cause investors to severely miscalculate their taxes.
Exactly. So the first misconception is with people under 59 and a half. They often think that simply turning 59 and a half magically makes everything in their account tax-free.
Which it absolutely doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all. Turning 59 and a half does not satisfy clock number one.
Right.
If you open your first Roth at age 58 and try to pull the growth out at age 60, your earnings are still fully taxable because you haven't met that 5-year lifetime mark yet. Age is literally only half the equation.
Yes. Okay, and the second massive misconception is for the older crowd. People who are well over 59 and a half are constantly told by, well-meaning friends that they must wait 5 years after every single conversion to access their money without a penalty.
I see this constantly on forums.
I hear it all the time, too. But it's completely wrong. Clock number 2, the conversion clock, is completely moot once you hit 59 and a half.
It literally just vanishes. The penalty doesn't apply to you anymore. The conversion clock stops being a factor the absolute moment you cross that age threshold.
So just to kind of log this in mentally, clock 1 is almost like an initiation fee to an exclusive club.
I like where you're going with this, yes.
Right. Like you pay your dues, you wait your time, and once you're in, you're a member for life. You can go to any club location in the world and they treat you as a VIP.
A lifetime membership, exactly.
But clock 2, the conversion clock, that is entirely different. That's like getting a hand stamp every single time you order a drink at the bar.
Yes, that is exactly it. A separate stamp for every single transaction you make.
But the bouncer only cares to look at your hand stamps if you are under the legal drinking age.
Right.
If you're clearly over the age limit, in this case 59 and a half, the bouncer doesn't even glance at your stamps. You can just do whatever you want.
That is a perfect analogy. And what's fascinating here is why clock number 2 even exists in the first place.
Oh, yeah? Why do they even make it?
Well, it exists purely as an anti-abuse mechanism. Think about how a traditional IRA works. If you pull money out before 59 and a half, the IRS slaps you with a 10% early withdrawal penalty.
Right. To keep you from spending your retirement money early.
Exactly. Well, without clock number 2, a 50-year-old who wanted to buy a sports car could just convert their traditional IRA to a Roth, pay the regular income tax, and then immediately withdraw the money the very next day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they would effectively skip the 10% early penalty entirely.
They just use the Roth conversion as a laundromat for the penalty.
Exactly, a pure loophole. So the IRS created the conversion clock, clock number 2, specifically to close that loophole.
That makes a lot of sense.
They basically said, fine, convert the money, but you can't touch that principal for 5 years or we'll hit you with the 10% penalty anyway.
Wow.
But once you are 59 and a half, you wouldn't owe an early penalty on a traditional IRA anyway, so the IRS just doesn't care anymore. The loophole doesn't exist for you.
Okay, the mechanics of that are brilliant. It makes total sense when you look at the why. So if these clocks are entirely separate, what happens when they actually collide in the real world?
That's where it gets practical.
Say I'm 60 years old and I just did my first conversion.
Let's walk through exactly that scenario from the sources. We will call this person Eleanor. She is 60 years old.
Okay, Eleanor's 60.
2 years ago, when she was 58, she did her very first Roth conversion of $50,000. It has now grown a bit in the market, let's say to $54,000.
Nice little gain there.
Yeah, but now she suddenly needs to put a new roof on her house, so she wants to pull out $30,000 to pay the contractor.
Okay, so let's apply the clocks here.
Yeah.
Clock number 1, her lifetime contribution clock started 2 years ago with that first conversion.
Correct.
So it's only 2 years old. It is not satisfied yet.
Nope.
And clock number 2, her conversion clock is also 2 years old. But Eleanor is 60. She's past 59 and a half. So the bouncer isn't looking at her stamps. Clock number 2 is dead. The 10% penalty does not apply.
You've got it. That part is clear.
But hold on, I'm genuinely confused here. If clock 1, her lifetime clock, is not satisfied yet, how is the IRS letting her pull out $30,000 without taxing it?
Ah, that's the big question.
Because I thought she had to wait 5 years to get tax-free money. Doesn't she owe ordinary income taxes on that withdrawal?
This raises a super important point, and it introduces one of the most generous rules in the entire tax code. It's called the FIFO ordering rule.
FIFO.
Yes, FIFO stands for first in, first out. When you withdraw from a Roth IRA, the IRS doesn't just treat the money as a random, blended soup where every dollar is partially principal and partially growth.
Which is exactly what they usually do with other accounts.
Right. Usually the IRS forces you to take things pro rata so they can tax you on the growth immediately.
They always want their cut.
They do. But with the Roth IRA, they mandate a very specific logical sequence, and it happens to be incredibly taxpayer-friendly. Withdrawals always come from your direct contributions first.
Okay.
Once every penny of those is gone, they come from your conversion principal, oldest conversions first, and earnings, the growth, are always pulled out absolute last.
Oh. Okay, so because of FIFO, Eleanor's $30,000 withdrawal is coming entirely out of that initial $50,000 chunk of conversion principal she put in 2 years ago.
Exactly. She already paid the income tax on that $50,000 when she did the conversion back at age 58.
Right, the taxes are already settled on that chunk.
So because she is only pulling principal, and because she is over 59 and a half, that $30,000 comes out perfectly clean, no tax, no penalty.
But, and this is where the trap snaps shut, if Eleanor tried to pull out the full $54,000 to buy, I know, a luxury boat or something, that last $4,000 is earnings?
Yes, that's the growth.
And because Clock 1 hasn't hit its 5-year maturity yet, that $4,000 of growth would be fully taxable as ordinary income.
Correct. Because of FIFO, her principal is safe and accessible, but her growth is constrained until that lifetime clock finishes.
That is so important to understand.
Now, let's contrast Eleanor with someone younger from our scenarios. Let's call him Marcus. He is 58 years old today. He converted $50,000 from a traditional IRA 4 years ago when he was 54.
Okay, so for Marcus, both clocks were completely live.
They are. His clock number 1 is 4 years in, so his earnings definitely aren't tax-free yet. And more importantly, his clock number 2 is also 4 years in, and he is only 58.
So he's under the age limit.
Right. The bouncer is checking his stamps. If he withdraws that conversion principal before the 5 years are up, he gets hit with a 10% penalty on whatever he pulls out.
Man, he's stuck. He just has to wait the year.
Well, not necessarily a full year. He is in a waiting game, but his 59 and a half birthday is literally a ticking countdown.
Oh, because of the age rule.
Exactly. The exact moment he hits that half birthday, the age exception kicks in, and the conversion penalty instantly disappears, even if the 5 calendar years haven't finished yet.
That's amazing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, for anyone in their late 50s watching a conversion clock tick down, that specific birthday becomes your absolute most meaningful planning marker. It changes your entire decision matrix for when you can actually afford to retire.
That makes a ton of sense. Okay, so Eleanor and Marcus show us exactly how these rules collide when we were talking about individual IRAs.
Right.
But earlier, we talked about people getting completely blindsided when they move money from an employer plan, like a 401k. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, a little infuriating.
It is arguably the single most dangerous hidden mechanism in the entire Roth landscape. We've talked about Clock 1 and Clock 2. Now we need to look at what happens when you roll money over, which reveals a hidden third clock.
Let's bring in Karen. This is a scenario I mentioned at the very beginning of the deep dive. Karen is 65. She's happily retired.
Good for her.
Yeah. And she had a Roth 401k through her employer for 7 years. She did everything right. 7 years of holding period. When she retired, she rolled her $200,000 balance into a brand new Roth IRA.
A very common move.
Very common. Over the next year, it grew a bit, up to $215,000. So she's 66 now, and she wants to pull all her money out to go travel the world.
And in her mind, she's completely in the clear. She is well over 59 and a half, and she has had the money in a Roth account for 7 years. She thinks she's met all the criteria.
But she's not in the clear.
Yeah.
And this is the third massive misconception. Holding periods do not automatically transfer from a 401k to a new IRA.
They don't. They really don't. And to understand the why behind this, you have to look under the hood at the underlying structure of the tax code.
Which is always a fun place to look.
Oh, a blast. But basically, Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs do not live in the same regulatory neighborhood. A Roth 401k is an employer-sponsored trust governed by Section 402A of the tax code.
Oh, okay, 402A.
Right. It's tied to a company's corporate tax filing. A Roth IRA, on the other hand, is an individual trust tied to your personal Social Security number, and that is governed by Section 408A. They are completely separate legal universes.
Are you kidding? So because they live in different parts of the tax code, they just don't talk to each other.
Essentially, yes.
She waited 7 years, she followed the rules, and the IRS just resets her clock to 0 simply because the account type changed from corporate to personal.
That is exactly the mechanism. The IRS currently has no automated way to port the historical metadata, the time spent, from a corporate trust over to a personal trust.
That is wild.
So because she rolled that 401k into a brand new Roth IRA, like the very first one she's ever opened, that new IRA starts its own lifetime contribution clock, fresh on January 1st of the year she did the rollover. Yeah. Karen's 7 years of waiting in the 401k just vanished into thin air.
That is brutal. I mean, it really is a trap. So because of FIFO, she can access the $200,000 principal tax-free. She already paid taxes on that.
Correct.
But what about that $15,000 of growth?
Because the new individual clock just started, she is locked out of that $15,000 in tax-free earnings for another 5 years.
Wow.
If she pulls it out to pay for her travel, it will be taxable as ordinary income. She won't have fully tax-free access to her own growth until she hits age 71. She thought it was tax-free money, and suddenly it's a tax liability.
How does anyone avoid this? Like, if you're listening to this right now and you have a Roth 401k at work, how do you save yourself from Karen's fate? There has to be a workaround.
Fortunately, there is a very specific workaround. It's a structural exception to the rule.
Thank goodness.
The rule only resets your clock to 0 if the rollover hits a brand new Roth IRA. If Karen had rolled her 401k money into an existing Roth IRA that was already past its own 5-year maturity date, the new money would instantly absorb the old clock's status.
Wait, let me make sure I'm getting this. An old, even mostly empty Roth IRA that is 5 years old acts like a shield.
Yes.
It just absorbs the rollover and applies its own maturity timeline to the new 401k money.
Precisely. If she had an old IRA sitting around, even if it only had $50 in it, as long as it had been open for 5 tax years, her $15,000 in 401k earnings would have been immediately tax-free upon rollover.
Okay, so if you were listening to this right now and you only have a Roth 401k at work, we have a vital piece of strategic advice for you to start your lifetime clock this week. Open a dummy account.
Seriously, do it today.
Seriously, go online, open a Roth IRA, even if you don't plan to use it heavily right now. Move $20 from a traditional IRA into it as a tiny conversion.
Exactly. You will have to pay a few pennies of ordinary income tax on that small conversion, ideally during a year when your income is a bit lower, but, it's completely negligible.
And boom. Your lifetime contribution clock number 1, officially starts on January 1st of that year.
Right.
It starts ticking down right now, so in 5 years it's matured, and waiting to catch any future 401k rollovers like a giant catcher's mitt.
It is one of the highest return on investment actions you can take for your retirement planning. It's huge.
I love that.
I should also note one alternative path, just to be thorough. If you are changing jobs, a direct rollover from your old employer's Roth 401k into your new employer's Roth 401k typically preserves the holding period.
Oh, because you're staying in the corporate system.
Exactly, because you are staying within that Section 402A corporate ecosystem. That avoids the trap entirely. But if you're eventually retiring and moving money out to an IRA, you absolutely need that 5-year individual IRA shield ready to go.
So what does this all mean for you trying to navigate your own accounts? Instead of getting lost in the weeds, just run your situation through a mental checkpoint system.
A decision tree, basically.
Yeah, a decision tree. Your first checkpoint is simply your age. Are you 59 and a half or older? If yes, you can completely ignore clock number 2.
Yep.
You never have to worry about a 10% penalty on conversions again. The bouncer isn't checking your stamps.
And your second checkpoint is your timeline. Has your lifetime contribution clock number 1 run for at least 5 tax years?
Right.
If yes, and you are over 59 and a half, all your earnings are tax-free forever. If no, your earnings are still taxable, but remember the FIFO rule. Your principal is safe. The IRS lets you pull your clean money out first.
Third checkpoint. Are you doing a Roth 401k rollover? If you are, double and triple check that you roll it into an existing Roth IRA that is at least 5 years old.
Do not open a brand new one.
Do not open a brand new one at retirement, or you'll reset your clock like Karen did.
And the final checkpoint. Do you have multiple conversions from different years? Always remember FIFO. The oldest conversions come out first.
Oldest first, yeah.
So if you need to pull money for a roof or a medical expense, Plan your distributions to draw from those older, matured conversions first.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. We started out thinking there was just one confusing 5-year rule.
And quickly learn there isn't.
Right. We discovered there are actually 2 completely independent clocks. One for your lifetime contributions that unlocks tax-free earnings, and one that runs every time you do a conversion purely to enforce early withdrawal penalties.
Yep.
And then we uncovered that hidden third clock, the rollover trap, that wipes out 401k holding periods if you aren't careful.
It is a dense web to process, honestly, but knowledge is most valuable when it is understood and applied.
Exactly.
Conflating these specific clocks is the #1 reason people miscalculate their retirement taxes. By separating them in your mind and knowing the specific jobs they do in the tax code, you now have the exact tools to avoid those mistakes.
You're empowered now.
You really are. You are now way ahead of the curve compared to most investors.
You absolutely are. And to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over. Think about this. We usually plan our entire retirement around our own age, right?
Sure.
Our own birthdays. Like I turn 62, I do this. I turn 65, I do that. But based on these highly specific tax rules, your money actually has its own age and its own birthdays.
That's a great way to frame it.
It has maturity dates entirely separate from yours. So how does it change your retirement roadmap if your actual freedom date isn't dictated by when you turn 65, but by when your accounts finally turn 5?
That's a profound way to look at it. It requires an entirely different layer of forward planning.
It really does. It changes everything. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Go check the dates on those accounts. Keep looking at the fine print, and we'll see you next time.
The free 8-page guide is in the description.